From the heart of the Roanoke Valley to the pulse of a new Virginia economy, where business, leadership, and community come together. You're watching and listening to the Mike Hamlar Show. Mike Hamlar, building up the block, taking you to the top. We don't stop the clock. The Mike Hamlar Show, let the whole world know. Oh yeah, that's the sound of the people in the globe.
Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Mike Hamlar Show. I'm Mike Hamlar, and today we are going to have a conversation that I believe every parent, grandparent, teacher, business owner, and community leader needs to hear. School is back in session across our region and our Commonwealth. We send our children to school every morning. We tell them, get good grades, listen to your teachers, do your homework, graduate from high school, go to college, get a job, and you'll be very successful. But today I want to ask a different question. Is that still enough? Are we preparing our children simply to graduate from school, or are we preparing our children to succeed in life? Because those are not necessarily the same thing. Today we are talking about college. We're talking about skilled trades. We're talking about financial literacy. We're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about artificial intelligence, or AI. We're talking about parents, we're talking about teachers, and we're going to talk about something we don't discuss enough. What does a young person actually need to know before entering the real world? So parents, this show is for you. Teachers, this show is for you. Business owners, this show is definitely for you. And young people, I hope you're listening too, because today we're asking, are we preparing our kids and young people for the real world? So let's talk about it. So in this segment, we're going to talk about, has education changed, or the world changed? The world has changed, and has education. So when many of us were growing up, there was a fairly straightforward formula. Graduate from high school, go to college, find a company or job, work really hard, stay there for 30 years, retire. That was the American dream for millions of families. But the economy has changed. Technology has changed. The workplace has changed, and the skills employers are looking for have changed. Today, a young person may graduate from high school and eventually have a career that didn't exist when that student entered kindergarten. Think about that. Think about how many jobs now didn't even exist when you were growing up. Artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, digital marketing, content creation, drone technology, advanced manufacturing. Some of today's fastest changing careers barely existed a generation ago. I remember when I was a little kid, it used to take a day or 2 days to download one JPEG, one picture on a computer. Could you imagine that today? What would our young people do today if they couldn't send a text or Instagram or TikTok or something immediately? We became that type of generation, or we have become that type of generation. So here's my question. Has education changed quickly enough to keep up? Now, I want to be very clear. All right, listen to me. This is not about criticizing teachers, administrators, anything like that. Teachers have one of the most difficult and most important jobs in America, in my personal opinion. They are asked to educate. They are asked to mentor. They're asked to discipline. They're asked to counsel. They're asked to protect. And sometimes we're asking them to solve problems that really began outside of the classroom. So this conversation is not about blaming teachers. It's about asking all of us, what should education look like in the year of 2026 and beyond? Because employers constantly tell us they need workers. We hear about shortages in healthcare, shortages in construction, technology, manufacturing, transportation, skilled trades, and other industries. Meanwhile, some young people graduate without knowing what careers actually exist in their own community. That's a disconnect. We need to expose children to careers early. Why wait to senior year? When they're in pre-K, ask them what they want to be when they grow up. Ask them, what do they like? What have you seen when you're in elementary school? Take them on a college visit. Show them the campus. Expose them early. A middle school student should know what an electrician does. So a middle school student should know what an electrician does. They should know what an engineer does. They should know what an entrepreneur does. They should know what a nurse does. They should know what a funeral service professional does. They should know what a cybersecurity specialist does. They should know what a welder does. They should know what a banker does. They should know what a contractor does. And they should understand the education and training requirements for each career, because you can't dream about something you've never been exposed to. I'm going to say that again. I pause on the purpose. You cannot dream about something you've never been exposed to. That is where business and education have to work together. We need professionals walking into classrooms. We need students walking into businesses. We need internships, job shadowing, apprenticeships, mentorships, real world experience. All of that is very important because education should not stop at the classroom. It has got to go beyond that. So when we come back, I'm going to challenge something we've told generations of young people, that college really is the only road to success. So you're listening to the Mike Hamlar Show. We're going to take a quick sponsorship break, and we're going to come right back.
Pre-planning can provide peace of mind while helping remove difficult decisions from your loved ones later. The professional team at Hamlar Curtis Funeral Home and Crematory can help you understand your options and create a plan that's right for you. Don't leave your family guessing. Plan today for peace of mind tomorrow.
All right, welcome back, and thank you for that sponsorship from Hamlar Curtis Funeral Home. We were talking about the American dream, what education used to look like, and what it should look like today. So this segment is going to talk about college is a great option, but is it the only option? All right, college is a great option, but is it the only option? Been saying this for years, but hey, welcome back. So we're going to go right into the conversation. So let's have a conversation that I think America needed a long time ago. College is not the only path to success. Did y'all hear me? Do I need to say it again? College is not the only path to success. Do I support folks that go to college? Yes. I have a daughter right now that's in her third year and going to graduate early, doing awesome. My other two children are preparing to go to college. I think it's great, but it's not the only pathway. Everybody learns different. Everybody has different talents. So now don't misunderstand me. I'm a strong believer in education. Education changed my life. But somewhere along the way, we started communicating a message to young people that if they didn't attend a four-year university, somehow they weren't successful. And I think we need to rethink that. College is an excellent option. For some careers, it's absolutely necessary. We need doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, accountants, researchers, and countless other professionals who need careers, whose careers require college and advanced education. But we also need electricians, plumbers, welders, HVAC, so HVAC technicians, automotive mechanics, automotive technician, machinists, carpenters, construction professionals, and skilled tradespeople. Some of those careers can provide tremendous opportunities. And Virginia has placed a growing emphasis on career and technical education. And we're seeing that right here in Roanoke. Roanoke City offers programs including automotive technology, carpentry, cybersecurity, culinary arts, engineering, HVAC, precision machining, and welding. Think about the possibilities. A young person could graduate from high school already possessing the valuable skills and credentials. That changes the conversation. Instead of asking every student, what college are you going to? Maybe we should ask, what's your plan? All right, what is your plan? That's the question. What's your plan for college? What's your plan after high school? Great. Community college? Great. Military? Great. Apprenticeship? Great. Trade school? Great. Starting a business with all the TikToks and social media and everything, earning money on there? Great. Going directly into a career with a recognized credential? Great. But have a plan. You know, there was this old saying, a bad plan is better than no plan. Have a plan, because graduating without a plan is where young people can lose valuable years. And parents have to understand these opportunities too. Sometimes we are the problem. We want to tell our children what success looks like. It's almost like with my children. I always like to get personal and give you some real life examples. Uh, I may not like mushrooms. Actually, I love mushrooms, but my kids, I can't tell my kids not to eat mushrooms. Oh, you're not going to like that. How do you know what they're going to like? How do you know what their taste buds are? So sometimes we get in our own way and we tell our children what to like and what not to like and what to do and what not to do when it comes to industries and companies. So we want to tell our children what success looks like based on what success looked like when we were 18 or when we were younger. But they're entering a completely different economy. Maybe your son or daughter doesn't need the career you imagine for them. Maybe your daughter has talents you never considered. Our job isn't to create another version of ourselves. Our job is to help our children discover the best version of themselves. Did y'all hear that? Do I need to repeat that? I think I'm going to say that again. Our job is to help our children discover the best versions of themselves. All right. So schools need businesses involved in that process. Imagine every high school student having a community to spend meaningful time inside a real workplace before graduation. Not just one afternoon, an actual experience. Show up on time, dress appropriately, communicate professionally, work with a team, solve problems, deal with customers, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes. Those lessons matter because your first employer isn't going to ask, what was your GPA? Forever, right? Eventually, they're going to ask, can you do the job? Did you ask your doctor when you went, hey, what number were you in your class in medical school? What was your GPA? I don't think so. So just think about that. So after the break, we're going to talk about something every parent is talking about: artificial intelligence. Is AI helping our kids learn or helping them avoid learning? We're going to talk about it next.
For generations, families throughout our community have trusted Hamlar Curtis Funeral Home and Crematory during life's most difficult moments. Serving our community since 1952, Hamlar Curtis remains committed to compassionate, professional service, serving with a spirit of excellence. Hamlar Curtis Funeral Home and Crematory, a tradition of service, a legacy of excellence.
All right. Thank you to our sponsor. We're going to go right back into it. Welcome back. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: artificial intelligence, or AI. ChatGPT, AI tutors, AI writer tools, all the AI search engines, AI generated videos, AI generated images. Technology is moving incredibly fast. And here's the reality: AI isn't coming, AI is already here. So banning every AI tool and pretending students won't use them isn't a long-term strategy. But at the same time, allowing a student to type a homework question into AI, copy the answer, and submit it without understanding and anything is not right. You can't do that. You can't submit it without an understanding, and definitely plagiarism and copyright and all of that. But we need a middle ground. And Virginia, the Commonwealth, is already developing policies and guidance around that, the responsible use of artificial intelligence in education. That's important because I think we have a bigger question. What does an educated person look like in an AI world? What does an educated person look like in an AI world? For generations, education emphasized knowing information, but increasingly information is instantly available. So perhaps the competitive advantage of the future isn't simply knowing information. It's knowing how the right questions are answered or where you can find that information. So how to ask the right questions, how to evaluate information, how to recognize misinformation. So how do you know if that's AI or not, right? How to think critically, how to communicate, how to solve problems, how to use technology responsibly. So those abilities may become even more important because of AI. Here's what concerns me. If a student uses AI to avoid thinking, that's a problem. But if a student learns how to use AI to become a better thinker, that could be incredibly powerful. Those are two completely different things. Think about calculators. There was a time when educators worried calculators would destroy students' ability to do mathematics. Calculators did not eliminate mathematics. They changed how mathematics was performed. The same thing happened with computers. Computers came out, the same thing happened there with the internet. AI could be another transformation, but the technology has to remain a tool. It cannot replace curiosity. It cannot replace discipline. It cannot replace creativity. It cannot replace character. And parents need to understand AI too. This can't simply be a school issue. Parents should know what the tools their children are using. Ask them, hey, what did AI help you do today? What did you use for AI? Is this AI? If you have a question, did you verify the information? Do you actually understand the answer? Could you explain this without the computer? Those are good questions because the goal shouldn't be to produce students who know how to push a button. The goal should be to produce young adults who know when to push the button, why they're pushing it, and whether the answer makes sense. And that brings us to something technology can't solve: money. Everybody always talks about money because after graduation, whether you have a doctorate or a high school diploma, a GED, everybody has to understand how money works. And I'm not convinced we're teaching enough of it to our children. We have got to show them how money works. I know we've talked about it before on the show, about economic prowess and how to use this money and how to do the things with the money. And what about a mortgage? We need to show our kids these things just so they can get on there and understand it. So that's next on the Mike Hamlar Show. And I'm really excited you all are joining us today. So make sure that you look at it on YouTube. We're on Mike Hamlar VA on YouTube. We're also on Radio Melrose 96.9 FM. So excited to be on the show. And I want you all to hold on because we're going to continue the conversation right after a sponsorship from LH Hamlar Event Center.
This segment is sponsored by LH Hamlar Event Center, located at 4516 Melrose Avenue, Northwest Roanoke, Virginia 24017. 540797076.
Welcome back. Thank you, LH Hamlar Event Center. There for all your event needs. But let's get back to the show. So we teach algebra, right? But do we teach money? That's the question. So here's another question for everybody listening and viewing. When you graduated from high school, did you understand credit scores? Did you understand interest rates, mortgages, insurance, taxes, retirement accounts, investing, student loans, business loans, compound interest, budgeting? Probably none of them, right? Yet almost immediately after graduating, young adults are making financial decisions that can affect them for decades. That's backwards to me. Financial literacy should be practical. Don't simply tell a teenager what credit is. Show them. Give them a hypothetical 18-year-old with $1,000 credit limit. Show them what happens when they max it out. Show them the interest. Show them minimum payments. Show them what happens when they're late. Then show them how the behavior could affect their ability to finance a car or eventually purchase a home that we've talked about before. That's education. Teach them about mortgages. So, for instance, take a hypothetical situation of a $300,000 home. Talk to an agent, real estate agent the other day. They said, typically you can't get anything around this area, the Roanoke region, for under $300,000 typically, right? So let's take that, show the students the mortgage payment, then add the property taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance. Suddenly they understand why earning $50,000 doesn't necessarily mean you can afford everything you want. Teach entrepreneurship. Give students $1,000 of imaginary startup capital and tell them, build a business. What's your product? Who are your customers? What's your cost? What's your price? How much is insurance? What taxes do you owe? How much does the employee cost? How do you market? What happens when the customer doesn't pay? What happens when something breaks? Now we're teaching business. And even if that student never becomes an entrepreneur, they'll become a better employee because they'll understand what it takes to operate a company. We also need to teach communication. This is huge. Can you shake someone's hand? Can you look someone in the eye? The little things. I tell my son all the time, he's going to be a great football player. We're going to speak it into existence. But I tell him, do the little things right. The big things will take care of themselves. That's what my coaches always told me. So do the little things. Can you write a professional email? Can you conduct yourself during a job interview? Can you disagree with somebody without disrespecting them? Can you accept constructive criticism? I'm going to go back and read the other one before. Again, can you accept constructive criticism, and can you disagree with somebody without disrespecting them? Can you show up on time? Can you put your phone down? Y'all hear that? Can you put your phone down and have a conversation? We started the no cell phones at dinner time. We kind of got away from it, but it was a great time to be able to actually sit down, enjoy a meal together, and actually talk, because we are so prone to just getting on our phone and putting everything in a text message. So can you put your phone down? Those are life skills. Employers are looking for technical skills, but they're also looking for people who they can trust. People who can communicate, people who show up, people who solve problems, people who work with others. You can't automate character. And there's one more word we don't use enough: failure. We need to teach children how to fail. It is okay to fail. Not how to accept failure permanently, but how to respond to failure. I'm a big advocate. You have winners and your losers when you play in sports. When I was growing up, not everybody got a trophy, and it was okay. We kept score in our little league games because either you won or you didn't. And now I think we're getting to the point where our young folks don't understand how to lose, because everybody loses at some point. I don't care who you are. Bill Gates, all of those folks, they lost at something, but it's how they responded that made them so great. So you didn't make the team. What do you do next? What do you do next? You didn't get the job. What do you do next? You got a bad grade. What do you do next? Your business idea failed. What did you learn? I've had businesses that failed that we've tried, but you learn from them, right? Life isn't going to give our children a trophy every time something doesn't work. I just said that. You don't get a trophy just for participating. All right. In the game of life, is either you're doing it or you're not. So sometimes they're going to hear no. Sometimes they're going to lose. Sometimes somebody else is going to get the opportunity. Resilience matters. All right. So we got one more sponsorship coming up. When we come back, I'm going to talk directly to the parents, including myself, because schools cannot do this alone. And sometimes we need to stop asking, what are other schools doing, and ask, what are we doing? So we'll close with that in just a few minutes. We got one more segment, and here's a little thing sponsored by Hamlar Curtis Funeral Home and Hamlar Pet Funeral Home.
This segment is sponsored by Hamlar Pet Funeral Home and Crematory, located at 501 11th Street Northwest, Roanoke, Virginia, 24017. Hamlar Pet Cremations, services you can trust. Providing honorable and meaningful pet cremations to Roanoke and surrounding areas. 540-344-0220. You're listening to the Mike Hamlar Show on Radio Melrose 96.9 FM. For more conversations about business, leadership and community, watch and subscribe on YouTube at Mike Hamlar VA. The Mike Hamlar Show, building up the block, one conversation at a time.
Welcome back to the Mike Hamlar Show. We have talked about schools. We've talked about our young folks. We've talked about what do we need? What does education look like now? We've talked about teachers. We've talked about businesses. We've talked about the government. We've talked about all kinds of things. But now I want to talk about parents, us, parents, grandparents, guardians, family. Schools can't do everything. Do y'all hear me? Schools can't do it by themselves. A teacher may have your child for an hour. We have them for a lifetime. And education has to continue at home. Teach responsibility. Give children responsibilities appropriate for their age. First thing I always tell my kids, first thing you get up, make your bed. So studies show if you complete a task first thing in the morning, the likelihood of your day going better is significant. So first thing you do, get up, make your bed. Huge. All right. Teach them that other people are depending on them. Talk about money. You don't have to tell your children every detail of your finances, but let them understand that electricity costs money. Food costs money. Housing costs money. Insurance costs money. Phones cost money. And somebody has to earn the money that pays those bills. Let them work. There's dignity in work. Cut the grass, wash cars, babysit, work at a restaurant, volunteer, help at the family business. Do something that teachers would like. Do something that's going to teach them, provide a value. And in return, I receive a value. That's a very positive lesson. Let them experience consequences. This may be one of the hardest things for us parents. And I'm guilty too. We want to protect our children. That is natural. But if we remove every obstacle, fix every mistake, and rescue them from every consequence, what happens when they're 25 and we're not standing beside them? Sometimes experience is the best teacher. I tell my kids all the time, I'm in death care. You're going to miss me when I'm gone. I'm not always going to be here to help. I'm not always going to be here for advice. Take advantage of me while I'm here. So go meet the teachers, go to the school. You know what I mean? Sometimes the best experience is going in and talking to one of your children's teachers, right? Your child's teacher. Show up, go to school, meet the teachers, know the coaches, know your children's friends, ask questions, and don't only ask, what grade did you get? Ask, what did you learn? What was difficult today? What are you interested in? What are you worried about? What career sounds interesting to you? What can I help you accomplish? Those conversations matter, right? Now we're going to talk about community responsibility really quick. Let's expand that beyond parents. If you're a business owner, listen today. We've talked about this before. I have a challenge for you. Open the doors, offer an internship if you're able, speak at a school, mentor one young person. Let a student shadow you if you can. I understand privacy and things like that. Explain what your business does. Show student careers, show the students careers they may not know exist. Imagine if 500 businesses across Roanoke Valley, and across the Commonwealth, each committed to mentoring just one student. That's 500 young people gaining real world experience, and those relationships multiply because that student becomes back to work, because that student may come back to work for you. Maybe that student starts a company. Maybe that student creates jobs. Maybe that student becomes the person who transforms Roanoke. We don't know, but sometimes we have to give them the opportunity, and our community colleges and universities matter too. So we need stronger connections between education and employers. When employers say we need these skills, our educational institution should hear that. And when the schools say we need internship opportunities, businesses should respond. That's partnership. That's workforce development. That's community. All right. So my final thoughts, our children are growing up in a world that's changing faster than any generation before them. AI will change careers. Automation will change careers. Technology will create opportunities we haven't imagined yet. But some things will never change. Hard work matters. Character matters. Integrity matters. Communication matters. Education matters. Responsibility matters. And opportunities matter. So yes, let's teach math. Let's teach science. Let's teach English. Let's teach history. But let's also teach our children how to manage money, how to communicate, how to work, how to think, how to lead, how to recover from failure, how to use technology without becoming dependent on it, and most importantly, how to find their purpose. Because the goal shouldn't simply be getting our children across the graduation stage. The goal should be preparing them for everything waiting on the other side of that stage. So I'll leave parents, educators, business owners, and elected officials with one question. If every student graduating from a Roanoke Valley High School tomorrow came to us looking for an opportunity, would we be ready for them? And would they be ready for the opportunity? That's something worth thinking about. I'm Mike Hamlar. Thank you all for tuning in to the Mike Hamlar Show on 96.9 FM, Radio Melrose, and on Mike Hamlar VA YouTube. Catch you next week.
Trumpet flashes bright, saxons through the air, roads on a midnight glide, we're setting up a flare. Boom back post with a polished city shine. Mike Hamlar steps in time, and the moment feels divine. From the heart of the Roanoke Valley to the pulse of a new Virginia economy, where business, leadership, and community come together. You're watching and listening to the Mike Hamlar Show. Mike Hamlar, building up the block, taking you to the top. We don't stop the clock. The Mike Hamlar Show, let the whole world know. Oh yeah, that's the sound of the people in the glow. Deep warm bass rolling, hand claps on the beat. Cinematic streams rise to lift the street. Saxophone fills and brass staffs in the frame, building up the block. Everybody knows the name. Business, leadership, community. Mike Hamlar, building up the block, taking you to the top. We don't stop the clock. The Mike Hamlar Show, let the whole